After testing 300 AI tools, I've realized 99% of them are shiny toys. Today, I'm showing you the only 7 that actually move the needle to drive incremental revenue and improve margin for your brand without hiring more employees. And no, this isn't just a generic ChatGPT walkthrough. These are the tools we are using right now to grow our brand portfolio past $100 million in revenue this year and staying ahead of the competition. We're starting with the basics and getting more advanced with each tool. The first one is Google Gemini. We like it because of how compatible and how much it integrates with the rest of our system. So Google Gemini lives within Google Drive. You can connect it to the next tool, which I'm going to mention right now, but it has a lot of compatibility, but it's also being invested to a lot. Google's taking the AI jump very seriously. They have other tools that I'm going to mention later that are within the suite. So that's why we like to use it a lot. Obviously, we're using for large language models. You could think of ChatGPT is fine as a competitor. We've used that for a long time, or even Claude, or a lot of the other ones. But we like Google Gemini. We like that it's done. What we're using for is a lot of things, but you could think of the basics from copywriting all the way to generating emails to negotiate with vendors. I'll make another video on how we're using it and a walkthrough to that. But I just wanted to start with this first one and obviously get the basics out of the way. The second one that's layered on top of this that not a lot of people know is actually NotebookLM. We've discovered this recently over the past few months, and it's been a huge game changer. The fact that you can integrate sources into the back end to do an analysis with Google Gemini when you jump into it has been huge for us. I'll describe one simple use case is we have product, for example, our products. We integrate all the feedback into the NotebookLM. We put them in as a source. And then when we make suggestions for product development, we go to Google Gemini, we attach the relevant NotebookLM folder, and then we ask it questions based on that. When you play with Google Gemini with the relevant NotebookLM attached to it, we can do this with so many stuff. Another one, for example, is let's say we have calls with the vendors, right? We're having certain calls. We want to integrate those calls into, again, I'm going to mention the tools that we record the notes with, but we put the notes of those tools into NotebookLM, and then we have chat with Google Gemini. Okay, what does this vendor want? Why are they stuck on this point? If I tell them this, would they accept? So no, they wouldn't accept because the 3 meetings ago they said this 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, it looks at the sources that you have and it gives you context related to that. The third tool that's absolutely been amazing for us and it's very underrated is the seller assistant within Seller Central. I'm sure Shopify also has a tool with this, but Amazon Seller Assistant tool has been huge for the team. Honestly, it's not crazy to say this, but it's been more helpful than sometimes opening a case on looking at something specifically, assessing whether we need to make a seller challenge on it, adding context. Again, it's a tool, it's a top right. They just released that Amazon Accelerate last year of September, but it's been really helpful for our team. It avoided a lot of extra questions. Why is it suppressed? You add, okay, what if I change this word? Will it stop being suppressed? And you kind of go back and forth with it. And it's been really helpful and truthfully a game changer. The fourth tool that I actually really like, I bought some of their stocks. It didn't go great, but that's another point, is Loom. It's part of that Atlassian, obviously, company, but Loom specifically, I like it because it does 2 things. Unlike maybe Fathom that only records meetings, you can also record clips for your teams, and it generates transcripts, it generates summaries, but Loom and also helps you even edit videos with AI. We've been using it a lot. Obviously, for all these tools, not like not associate. Well, technically associate invested in them, right? And I invested in Google in the past, but that's besides the point. But the point is, I truly believe in these tools and we're truly using them. Is that for Loom, we're using it to record all the meetings. We're feeding some of these meeting transcripts into the Google NotebookLM. So examples, even meetings with my product development team, we're feeding in there, okay, can we do this? Can we not do this? We're feeding it as a source. And then from that source, we're feeding the transcript as a source into NotebookLM. And then we have a folder with all those transcripts for a relevant subject. And then we're using Google Gemini to bounce off those transcripts. So you could think of where we're using Loom, obviously for recording meetings, but also to record training manuals. I started it up, and then I can use that training manual to also put it into the transcript into ChatGPT or Google Gemini and make an SOP. But Loom has been helpful because it does both, and I think it's one of the only tools that lets you kind of record clips, but it also lets you record meetings. So it's a 2 birds in 1 stone, and we really like it for that. It also helps you edit videos with AI or remove the silences automatically. So it's been a very cool tool. The 5th tool is Nano. This one is truly revolutionary because before this, the AI images were honestly subpar. Nano came and changed the game. There are obviously, it particularly creates AI images. There were competitors before that, like Midjourney, that were fine, but honestly, Nano Banana just took it up another level. I don't even think ChatGPT, I think it's Sora, doesn't compete with it, and you can continue prompting to get the result you want. We're using it to do to do like a specific edit. You still have creative specialist overviewing it at the end of the day, but it's very good for initial drafts, bouncing ideas off of it. We've seen a lot of great outputs from it, and we've been using it very, very seriously and very rigorously. We're still not using a lot of the video components like VO. We still find them very sloppy. We kind of use them as a rough draft, but Nano Banana's truly been like very reliable and very usable and practical. The sixth tool is Zapier. And Zapier is obviously within the automation realm. You could think on a more advanced level, you can have Make, NAN. Now Zapier has AI features. You can integrate it with ChatGPT, Google Gemini, all that kind of stuff. But we use it to make certain edits on stuff. So let's say, for example, we needed a revision for copywriting. We put it in there. We have an automation. Okay, check if this has any Amazon non-compliant keywords. So it kind of produces the output from Google Gemini. It sends it to Zapier. It checks the Amazon TOS. It makes sure it's compliant. It sends it back. So you can have various steps within that to create a certain output. And Zapier is very easy to use, very simple. It creates automations, it integrates with AI tools, and even Zapier itself has an AI bot to help you create the automation which you've been using. So even if you want to create an image stack, you send it back and forth within various tools that we mentioned before. So for example, NotebookLM, you want a certain specification, you have it feed into NotebookLM, and then it feeds into Google Gemini, and then it sends it back. All that kind of stuff, you can create that module within Zapier. And then the step after that is obviously what's taking kind of the talk of the town is AI agents. So CloudBot is the current one. Manus is a less advanced one, but they're basically creating a lot of different stuff you can do for this. Honestly, we're not using it as much. You will be surprised. We just found it still not there yet with a lot of things. We haven't liked the security and a lot of things. We want to be a little bit careful with sharing, obviously, our brand and brand data. That it's not as polished yet to send the information frequently. We're just using a lot of software in the place of it. But we have examined the building AI agents that kind of send catalog work a lot of times. So if something goes down, automatically open a case, send it back, right? Get the case from Google Gemini, and then submit that. Another example is buy box alert. If we lose the buy box on anything, send me a text message on this number, right? But you can use a lot of the. That's why I prefer the automation, because it's more reliable, more established, more robust tools that have been there for a long time. The security is better. Maybe it's not as advanced as the AI ones, where they can kind of be more intelligent with what's needed, but a lot of the AI tools can suffice. So for example, if a listing goes down, send me a text at this number. That's urgent. We want to understand it. If a buy box gets lost, send a cease and desist. Again, this is not all the stuff we're doing. We're playing around with some of this stuff, but some use cases that where it becomes relevant. So AI agents is just like a layer on top of the automation, and it's been really helpful. If you want AI implemented to your brand, come check us out at Voadera.com. Book a strategy called An Expert. This is what we're doing for our brands, taking to the next level, grow them 34% year over year.